and in doing so, acquiescing to this Orwellian state, or dropping our obsession with fear, lifting our heads, and doing something about it. Like stopping cooperating with the building of our own prison. Since 9/11, the Orwellian state has gone into orbit. Latest figures, and they are the latest because it ain't over yet, is that when you walk through the average city in Britain today, you're seen on average by about 300 cameras. They're now talking about iris scans, fingerprints, DNA databases. It's the totalitarian tiptoe. This, after the London bombings, this came up. Around London, secure beneath watchful eyes. And that's a poster from Nazi Germany justifying more control and taking freedoms away to protect the people. Someone sent me this week, this is at Sheffield bus station in Yorkshire. DNA, spit and run, you'll still get caught. DNA, every bus, tram and interchange has DNA testing kits. Spit at the staff and you can be traced and prosecuted, even if you don't know, we don't know what you look like. And your records will be on the national database forever. You now go on the DNA national database, not for being charged with anything, not for being convicted with anything, but for being arrested for anything. There you go. Watch the terrorists among you. Turn the people to police the people. I promise never to question authority or bring up my rights. Stop asking questions. Quiet. Shut up. Hey, here's a free speech zone. How about that? See, there is freedom. Just nowhere near anyone else. I mean, this is not sometime over the rainbow, maybe eventually. This is unfolding before our eyes by the day now. This is what Hitler said to justify the creation of the Gestapo. An evil exists that threatens every man, woman and child of this great nation. We must take steps to ensure our domestic security and protect our homeland. That is almost word for word what they said to justify the creation of what they call Homeland Security in America. And we're now talking about Homeland Security in this country. It's become the new stock phrase, like I say. The technological version of what we've already seen, but on a global level. Hello, elephant in the living room. And like I keep coming back to, it's a mind game, because mind, if you control someone's mind, you control their behavior, their perception, everything. And what all this is doing on a deeper level of the psyche is turning us in, that's the idea and the attempt, to turn us into the equivalent of laboratory rats in a maze. They do these horrific experiments, I think they're horrific, just my view, where they'll have mice or rats going up and down this maze, and they'll go down certain channels and they'll get a shock. And they'll go again and they get a shock and they turn back. And eventually they've been shocked so many times that they don't go down that channel anymore. You take the electrical equipment away, they can go down the channel without being shocked, they don't go. Because they have been manipulated into acquiescence, manipulated into line. And what is happening to us all the time, more and more, is we're being told what we can't do this, we can't do that. You can't say that. Political correctness, Orwellian's newspeak, in other words. You can't say this, you can't do that. Oh no, you can't go there. Oh yes, you can't put that in your waste bin. You've got to put it here, you've got to put there. There's a fine if you do that. And what it's all doing, speed cameras. Oh crikey, you know, the speed camera. What am I doing? And it's getting more and more and more and more, and it's the equivalent of all these shocks on the laboratory rat, and eventually you can fall into a state of total subservience and acquiescence. And that's the idea It's a mind game. One other thing, before I kind of change direction in the last little bit. This has become another buzz phrase, international law. I hear it all the time. Do you know, I heard people, the time of the invasion of Iraq, saying the invasion was wrong because it was against international law. So, if international law said it was all right to go and slaughter the innocent on a vast scale, that's all right then. No, of course it's not. International law is irrelevant to that. Immorality is what we should be talking about, not that it's against international law. But what is international law? It is a law that everyone on the planet has to obey. What do you need if you want a centralized global dictatorship? You need laws that everyone on the planet has to obey. That's why international law is being talked about in an ever-increasing way all the time, because that's the road to the central tyranny. So anything that can be used to justify international law is a good thing from their point of view. What better than a global war on terrorism? We must have international law to protect everyone from terrorists. What better than global warming caused by the carbon explanation? Oh, we must have international law to meet this threat. Anything that Al Gore's involved in is a scam. Anyone who's done any looking at his background. So international law, you're going to hear more and more and more about. Not only international law, but the need to unify and bring together regulations on this and that and the other in each country on all these different topics. Oh no, you've got different regulations in that country to that country on this, so we must have conformity of global regulations. We're seeing this all the time. Again, building the global centralized state. More and more. And this is as relevant today as when these words were spoken by an anti-Nazi activist, pastor, who said this after the Second World War. First they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the communists, and I did not speak out because I was not a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. Then they came for me, and by then there was no one left to speak out for me. And we're seeing this all the time, where they're targeting certain groups, and everyone else, because, oh, I'm not part of that group, it doesn't affect me, looks the other way, and they pick them off, and pick them off, and pick them off. And that's what's happening all the time. And yet, what I've been describing, and I could talk at much greater length and often do, is a house of flipping cards. That's what it is. This edifice of global power that I've been describing is a house of cards because it depends on our acquiescence to allow it to happen. The number of people who are knowingly advancing this manipulation compared with the global population is tiny, infinitesimally small at the top of that pyramid. And they can only have power because we give that power away all the time, every day. If someone introduces a law and people just moan about it but get on with their lives, then the people that introduced the law have taken the power over the people. When people see a law that's unfair